You know, Jackson is a special place. I look at Wyoming the same way. It's always been public land, shared with others. It's one of those places where wildlife really are more important than people. And I think that's what people like about it. And it's a hard land. You know, you look outside today, it was 10 degrees this morning. There's 3 foot of snow in the yard. Not for everybody, and that's good. The thing that really sets Molesworth furniture apart for me, it was distinctively Western. It was his idea of the West and the West that he loved, and he integrated everything of that into the company. And it wasn't for everybody. He turned down many a client that wanted him to step outside of that envelope, and he didn't do it. To me, it is Wyoming. It's the West, it's the mountains, it's everything about it. Thomas Molesworth was a furniture designer in Cody, Wyoming. His early background comes from growing up in the Midwest, going to school at the Art Institute of Chicago. And after a couple years, Molesworth's father said, "You're no Charlie Russell." So he came back to run the family ranch near Billings, Montana. Went on to be involved with Rowe Furniture Company in Billings for a number of years. Then moved to Cody, Wyoming, 1934, where he started Shoshone Furniture Company. Molesworth had a lot of major commissions. Probably the one that really started him, Ranch A for the Annenberg family, huge commission. The Old Lodge, which was in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. The TE Ranch, which is still intact. Plains Hotel. Dwight Eisenhower had a set of his furniture, which is still in his presidential library. You know, he did a commission with Frank Lloyd Wright, and that's what sets him apart from people. There were other designers, there were Western furniture makers, but none of them were successful on a large scale. And Molesworth had connections. I mean, leading up to the war, leather was very hard to obtain, but he had a client by the name of Mickey Cochran, catcher for the Detroit Tigers, who he did 3 houses for. Cochran was associated with Ford Motor Company through a guy by the name of Harry Bennett, who was running Ford at the time. So Harry Bennett afforded Molesworth the luxury of having leather even up through World War II, when nobody else could even get leather. Molesworth's style is kind of what I call rustic refined. He was experienced in furniture design, cushions, a manufacturing process. He took that process, applied it to the rustic furniture, and refined it, made it comfortable so it could be really set at to bring the outside in, get away from this strict environment we had of, you know, very formal furniture. And this furniture really spoke of being comfortable living, not having to dress for dinner. And I asked his son once, how come he never signed it? And he said, because he knew it was his. This collection of Molesworth is different than most of some of the other ones I've put together, because kind of the purpose of this house was that they entertained a lot, sometimes large groups, so they wanted a lot of seating. And they wanted functional seating. And most of these couches and chairs are from what I consider Molesworth's golden years, which was between 1935 and 1945. This couch here is a really, really early form that had this open arm with the fringe hanging down beneath, big burls, big couch. He only made this style up to maybe 1938. And he discontinued it, and then he went to this style with the solid ends. And these are unusual because the whole side is applied poles. These club chairs came from yet another source, but this is a matched pair. And his club chairs, which to me are the greatest pieces there are, and my favorites, because they're comfy, they're deep, they're paired with an early drink stand. He wanted people to feel comfortable with it. And I think that's part of his success, was that whimsy. I mean, putting a gunfighter silhouette on the back of a chair that you sit on. You know, the chair could just be sitting there, but with that on it, it makes a statement. I love the big council table in the dining room. I think that originally that table was in a bank. It was a big oak table with drawers, and the client had taken it to Molesworth and asked him to do his thing. So Molesworth covered the whole thing with poles, changed the configuration a little bit, made the top a little bit bigger and thicker. I love that fact of it, that somebody said, here, turn this into something else. And he did it successfully. Another thing that I really always loved is that wonderful little burled table with the fringe around it. And partially because of the fringe frieze and the tacks, the top, and more than anything, I love the burl, but I love the color combination where he used this rust brown and turquoise. The two work so well together that the table, even though it's simple, is elegant. And that's the way he meant it. This stuff is ready to be used for another 100 years. I have never bought a piece of Molesworth furniture that had a broken or damaged frame. It is so overbuilt, and it's such simple construction. Everything bolts together. There's nothing depending on a glue joint. I've never experienced a piece that had wood failure, which is really a testament to him. You know, my biggest regret is I've always been such a good salesman that I've never kept enough of this furniture for myself.